Hey guys, Razorblade Mango here, and today I wanted to provide a little progress update on the Final Fantasy VII Remake analysis. So, as you know, I've been working on this bad boy for, I think 6 months? Coming up on 6 months now. I've been working on it ever since I finished my first playthrough of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's been a hell of a ride recording and editing this thing. And it's not done yet. My goal is to still have it out before the end of the year. That hasn't changed. I was hoping to have it done before the launch of the PlayStation 5, just so the channel could focus solely on the PlayStation 5 stuff and the games that are coming out during No Money November. But I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen. But it will definitely be out before the end of the year, you know, barring any unforeseen circumstances, which, cross my fingers, hopefully does not happen, because I want this review to be out. I want you guys to see what I've been working on for almost 6 months now. And I also wanted to provide a thank you to those who have been giving me feedback on it, because this review, for the people that I've shown this to, it's basically been like an early access game almost, where I update unlisted and private versions of it, so those that I want feedback from are able to see it, and I literally label it. I literally feel like I'm doing like patch notes and update logs for this review. I honestly don't know how YouTubers can make these highly edited and fully comprehensive 5, 6, 7 hours reviews of games. It's mind-blowing to me. After my first attempt to really do something like this, it's mind-blowing what they're able to do, and I've gained a much greater appreciation for the editing behind it. So I wanted to provide also a preview of it, just to kind of whet your appetite before the full main course comes out sometime before the end of this year. So the trailer that I released back in May for it, which I regret doing that. I should have just, I criticized Square Enix. The irony is I criticized Square Enix for years for releasing trailers with vague release dates and not committing to them or delaying them, but I should have really taken my own, really should have practiced what I preached in that regard. But I was sure back then that it would be summer, but unfortunately stuff happened to where it stopped being summer and it went into the fall, and now fall's probably going to turn into winter 2020, so there's that. So you guys have a little preview of it in that trailer, because that trailer is basically the opening bits of the analysis. And I'm gonna today give you a preview of the part of the middle portion. I haven't fully decided which part it's gonna be, but it's gonna be somewhere in the middle. And what you're going to see is a work in progress. It's not the final thing yet. There's some bits I still need to edit in there, so yeah. So thank you guys so much for your patience. Thank you to everybody who has provided me feedback. It's been invaluable. I just want to give a shout out to them. Thank you Richard, thank you Mario, thank you Doggybone Gaming, thank you Epic Steve, thank you Claylex, and there's a couple other people I've shown it to that don't have YouTube channels, so but you know who you are. So anyway, enjoy this preview of my Final Fantasy VII Remake analysis that has been in the works for almost 6 months now. Enjoy! Chapter 8 begins with a reintroduction to one of the most famous heroines in video game history, Aerith. If there's one character this game needed to get 100% right, it's her. She is arguably the heart and soul of Final Fantasy VII, and if they had messed her up, there would be hell to pay. Fortunately, they did not. Square Enix knocked it out of the park with Aerith's transition from spunky, low-polygon ally/love interest to Cloud into a fully realized and much more aggressive, super highly detailed vision of loveliness. In short, like the equally lovable but for different reasons Tifa, she's another big highlight of the game. I instantly felt a connection between her and Cloud after having only 2 conversations with her, and you can totally buy into why Cloud would lower his guard for her. She sees right through his rough exterior, and Cloud knows this. He can't hide from her tender gaze. She's also really headstrong, funny, quick on her feet, and legitimately helpful in combat. And she swears at one point, which I thought was just so adorable.
Ugh.
Easy now.
You worry too much. I'm not some princess who needs to be coddled. Shit.
Their chit-chat is cut short when Reno appears. For those who aren't familiar, Reno is a member of the Turks, a sort of Black Ops unit of Shinra, who seek out potential candidates for Soldier. So, because this is Final Fantasy VII Remake, we get a new boss fight against Reno in the church. And here's where I'm going to gush about something I've been saving for a while now. The boss fights. Almost every single boss fight in this game is at bare minimum really good. I mean, fuck that. Most of them are excellent. When I saw the Scorpion Sentinel fight for the very first time at last year's E3, I was sure that a multi-stage and elaborate set piece like that was only going to occur a handful of times during the game. And I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. Every boss fight, every big story-driven boss fight in this game is given a lot of time and attention to detail, and they go through multiple forms that have their own strengths and weaknesses. It was so much fun going against these bosses and figuring out the best strategies in order to wreck their shit. And they don't skimp on the quantity either. There are around 30 bosses to fight throughout the main campaign, and even when some of them don't hit the high marks set by others, they're still really enjoyable. I can only think of maybe 2 that I didn't particularly care for. In a game with that many mandatory boss fights, that consistency of their quality is staggering. I can't remember the last time I played a game with this many memorable, excellent boss fights. In my opinion, not even highly regarded masterpieces, famous for their boss fights such as Dark Souls, Cuphead, and Shadow of the Colossus are as consistent as Remake. Even if you usually hate Final Fantasy and all its convoluted anime stuff, I'd still recommend this game just for the stellar boss fights. After kicking the crap out of Reno, Cloud is about to deliver the killing blow when the Whispers intervene and drag Cloud and Aerith away to safety. They protect Aerith from harm as Cloud finds a way for them to escape from the Turks. What follows after their escape is a really sweet and chill sequence where Cloud and Aerith traverse the Sector 5 rooftops and get to know one another. This is the portion of the game where you get to hear Aerith say shit, by the way.
Shit.
I'm never going to get sick of that. Eventually, they arrive in the Sector 5 shantytown where Aerith lives, and she takes Cloud to meet her mother, Elmira.
There you go. That's my house.
It's amazing.
Come on. I'm home.
Hey, baby. Been up to no good? Rude came by.
So, this is my mom, Elmira. And this is Cloud, my bodyguard.
And this moment you're seeing right now is where something really clicked about the game for me. This simple moment of Cloud seeing Aerith's beautiful home for the first time and meeting her mom made me realize something special. Final Fantasy VII Remake was made with a lot of love and care. I know that should be obvious, but it took this sequence for me to really let that sink in. It didn't have the aura of a rushed, messy, and soulless game that went through a turbulent development. Just seeing the beautiful art design of Aerith's home and soaking in the calming atmosphere made it finally click in my brain that I was in safe hands with this game. I also experienced a burst of appreciation for the development team that worked hard to make something like this. This small sequence of Cloud simply walking in a gorgeous environment set my mind at ease that this game was going to turn out to be pretty damn good. When I played the release version of Final Fantasy XV back in the day, I could tell a few hours into it that something was wrong. I already knew about the game's rough development cycle years before it launched, but great games with clear artistic visions can still come from that. 15 was not one of them. Rather than the work of a passionate development team, 15 came across as a studio struggling to stitch story ideas and gameplay elements together in ways that didn't work cohesively and lacked a central vision. They rushed it out the door, and it clearly showed. I imagine Remake also went through a very strenuous development cycle, considering it was originally going to be developed by an outside studio until Square Enix brought it in-house, and Nomura was working on it simultaneously with Kingdom Hearts 3. And yet, miraculously, Remake doesn't come across as something that had a development cycle like this. And if I may go a step further, I think Remake has a much stronger and consistent creative vision than Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go there. This is coming from a Kingdom Hearts fanboy, but I'm more than willing to admit that I think Remake overall is just a much more cohesive, narratively well thought out game than Kingdom Hearts 3. For me, this simple moment with Cloud and Aerith condenses all the love and care this team put into this remake into one scene. This is one of my absolute favorite moments in the game. It reminds me of why I fell in love with Square Enix's games back in the day. It's pure video game magic. So, after another unfortunate round of dear Jesus Christ, let's get these boring fucking side quests over with, and a kick-ass boss fight against Reno's partner in crime, Rude, Cloud and Aerith return to her home to call it a day. However, Cloud is asked by Elmira to leave in the middle of the night, and he honors her request. But, and we all know Aerith, she cuts Cloud off while he's attempting to leave the town, and insists on showing him the way back to Sector 7. Cloud, having really no choice given Aerith's really strong persistence, allows her to join him on the quest back. Cloud and Aerith make it to that creepy looking playground from the original game. Seriously, who the hell would want to play on these things? They look like they want to swallow your soul. Before Cloud and Aerith can go back to Sector 7, they happen upon Tifa being led out of the city in a carriage. Cloud and Aerith decide to put off returning to Sector 7 in order to go after Tifa and save her. This leads them to the crime-ridden, lavish, and colorful Sin City known as Wall Market.